Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth discussions. This time, we have made it. I'm surprised how smoothly these have gone, considering it was a big shift on how we did our stuff, but we've made it to Showdown at High June, which that name comes from Zachariah, so thank you, Zachariah. That was pretty solid. I was going for June Jackaroos or something like that, to try and keep the alliteration going. But Showdown at High June, I don't know how I could say no to that.
Fits.
So, all right. Let me see. We have 5 people today, and we would have had 6, but Levi was feeling under the weather, so no Levi today. I know, ladies. Calm yourselves. But in all seriousness, hopefully Levi will be back for next month's chat. Just spoiler. It's not really spoilers, but spoilers. It's Sci-Fi July is next. But for now, let's go ahead and do announcements real quick so we can get into our discussion on specifically awesome Western tropes. So basically, this month's going to be about Westerns, and we're going to start off by talking Western tropes and then go into some other things that might add in that flavor to a Western that you might not have thought about. So I'll start us off so everybody can have time to think about any announcements they need to bring forward. I am Adam L. Spain with the Inn of Planar Crossroads, and as far as discussion points and announcements, we have our main goal, basically, is all we've got going on right now. Main goal of getting to $100 worth of support per month, for either through Patreon, Subscribestar, Locals, or Direct Contact. And once we hit that, we will be doing a big giveaway, probably doing multiple game giveaway, as well as if we exceed and go past it a little bit more, I might just have to splurge and buy some custom-made Inn of Planar Crossroads dice to give out. So we might do that with plastic, but if it's enough over, you just might have to splurge for those metal dice.
Wooden dice.
Some specialty made dice. How about that? But that's what we've got going on. So help us get there, and you'll be able to get in on that. That's mainly what I have. So let's go counterclockwise from where I'm seeing. So Dan, what you got?
Hello, Dan from Avenue Studios. Super excited that I have Jacob and Mush with me, Jacob and Michelle. I'll shout out for Avenue Studios. You can find us anywhere on podcast as well as YouTube and Rumble. And with this collaboration within Planar Crossroads, we are live streaming Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we do a build in Foundry of a one-shot based off of some of the stuff we talk about during the Around the Hearth episodes. And then at the end of the month, we're going to play it live as a test, and our patrons are entered into a raffle where they can be the players in that one-shot to play test it. And then after that, it's available for everyone to use in the Forge and depending on which system, other places as well. So I'm very excited for this one because this is Jacob's, what would you say, favorite prime. He's okay. Yeah, he's okay with Westerns.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't believe them, just go check out a certain Western that they ran in Pathfinder 2E on theirs with the Bennetts.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of
Outlaws
fun.
of Alkenstar. Yes, do check that out. We had a ton of fun. And I wanted to shout out to, well, I'll turn it to shout out for Jacob, his Star Playing Games as well. If you want to play with Jake, not only can you watch him on our live streams, but you can also play with him on Start Playing Games too. So give him some love over there. Reviews are always welcome.
So true.
And that's us. No goals or challenges right now. So
Well, I have a personal goal is to get Avenue Studios YouTube subscribers to 1,000, but by the end of the year. But I think that's I'm trying.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Sub. You don't have to come back. Just click that button.
Tell your mom and dad to sub. Get us to that 1,000.
All right. Well, what you got, Josh?
Hey, I'm Josh. from Copper Dragon Games. Typically out here on YouTube talking about role-playing games, usually focusing on 5e and virtual tabletop resources. Currently working on a bunch of 5e homebrew variant stuff and playtesting that with some good friends and also some Patreon supporters. Always good to have new folks, so come on and join us. Super excited to be here and talking about Westerns. And that's all I got.
All right. And since Jacob kind of had his bundled in with Avenue Studios, that means we are to a Squirrel Plays, who we shouted out last time. So that's what there you get. So do you have any announcements, Scrat, to go with your, to go for your channel or anything like that you want to bring up?
Not too much. Other than what y'all mentioned before, Scrat from a Squirrel Plays. We just talk about TTRPGs, a little bit about video games. It was honestly supposed to be a bit more than it was, but I adopted a bunch of TTRPG viewers, so I'm kind of having to lean into that. We did just hit 1,000 last week, I think.
Congrats.
So that was
Congrats.
Yay!
Awesome.
Thank you. It's been very unexpected growth. So I've been enjoying it, and right now I'm kind of looking about like the squirrel in the avatar there. My eyes are wide. I'm staring at the headlights. So just trying to play along here.
Well, there you go. You're in the appropriate line of work if you're making video game and other types of content, if you are just playing along. So
Did I see that you play Grounded?
Yeah. We actually just finished it a couple weeks ago.
Okay, cool.
And then they added a bunch of bosses, and we were like, oh, well.
That
would have been nice earlier.
all right. So that is a Squirrel Plays, and that is a lesson for all of you out there. If you want to make contacts with people on, the different types of things that you're doing and anything, just do it. And you never know if they'll say yes to coming on and talking with your weird friends about TTRPGs. So, all right. That means we are done with introductions and announcements. Means we're on to Levi's Spotlight. Unfortunately, Levi's not here. But that doesn't mean we're not doing a spotlight for these, because you know what? I talked with Dan and I talked with Levi, and we said we're going to shout out Jacob. You know why? Because he's from Avenue Studios, and he's not just doing games, he's planning to go full-time. So I've got it pulled up right here. So you find him on Start Playing. He's got Jacob from Avenue Studios. That's what he's got on there, Professional Game Master. So there you go. That's our shout-out.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Wow. Whew.
I would do that horn emoji thing, but I don't know how you guys do that.
There you go.
I found it.
That's it.
All right.
They always do that to me on Wednesday.
Okie dokie. Well, we better go ahead and get into these chats. So,
Indeed.
gather around the hearth. Warm yourself or cool yourself, depending on whether the fire is lit or not, by the fire. And grab your preferred beverage as we discuss awesome Western tropes. All right. Skål.
Skål. Till naša družba.
Madrug. All right. So, we were going to let Dan read off. Since Levi couldn't be here, he gave us a point per discussion. So we're going to read off Levi's point and then see where it leads us. So
Cool. All right. Sicky Chicky says, the Western is a romanticized telling of the edge of where society has reached. The actual West had the Native Americans living there first, but Westerns historically treated them as uncivilized. We're playing in a place with minimal formalized law, where violence is often unnecessary, and you need to know a little bit of everything because you can't be certain if anyone is coming. So that's Levi's quick thoughts.
Love it. Westerns, they always have that slight mystery feeling too. Like if you put yourself in the shoes of a Western, and we've read a few of them, But there's, kind of like the idea of what you're saying. You never know what's coming or what's around the corner. Bandits or buffalo, wild snakes. I mean, there's so many threats. So I liked how he put it. And then, the law, it is a bit romanticized, all of it, but.
Yep.
It's American mythology, basically. It's our
wow, that's a good way of putting that.
Our medieval era, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting. There's actually a lot of foreign people who are very interested in our Western culture and the stories that come from it because of that reason.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with it, but I think I've been hearing like French comics right now are really leaning into Western style storytelling.
Wow.
Or the cowboy style. I'm not sure, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but I've been hearing a lot of good stuff coming out of there.
Well, there's definitely a reason why the stereotypical American in the rest of the world is either some person from like New York or LA, or a cowboy with a hat on and boots and spurs even, and all that type of stuff, with double six guns and bullets on his belt. That type of stereotype came about because America was seen as the Wild West, and we're looking at, if you're looking for Wild West, and this goes back to our modern May discussion on looking for an era or an understanding an era, you have a setting that is taking place between the start of the Civil War and then after that. That's really where you see most of this idea for the Wild West. And that's not a bad place to look. And interestingly enough, that's the same time period for steampunk. So, you could have, and this is something I saw a meme on before, based upon the era that is in, you could have a Polynesian pirate, a Mexican bandito, a cowpoke from the Wild West, and a samurai all in the same game.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be definitely unique.
Yeah.
I know, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
So, that's pretty cool. I think that there's a lot of individual flavor. It's kind of lost when you get past the world wars. A lot of stuff starts to leak into each other culturally. But then you had a very big cultural divide, and you could look at it and say, oh, well, this is very much this flavor, and this is very much that flavor from that country. But the same things can be done. And you can all set it in the West because with American expansionism going all the way, with Manifest Destiny being a thing that people were looking at, they were about pushing to that end over there. And technically, during that period, California was still Mexico? California would have still been Mexico. So would have Arizona and stuff like that. So you can play in that whole time period, mix it up for your players, and have a lot of fun in that.
Yeah. That talked about, I don't remember exactly, but it was something.
What do you think about the gold rush and just how the few years difference?
Yeah.
And the United States ended up taking over California, and that's how much that changes.
Because Mexico might still own California today,
right,
if they didn't do the gold rush, or if the gold rush happened to Mexico.
Yep.
Essentially.
Well,
there was something we were reading the other day about that.
Yeah.
So if you get into something like gold rush too, that changes the whole politics of.
That's true. It makes me think of the movie The Last Samurai a little bit, mixing the samurai in, because in the beginning of that movie, if I remember correctly, he's doing Civil War cowboy things, and then he ends up. Have you seen that one?
I don't remember.
And then he ends up in Japan.
And they bring over Gatling guns to quell the rebellion of the samurai.
Yeah. So it's just interesting. The first thing that popped in my head was that movie. I haven't seen that in a long time. So
that's cool. I like Adam's point of the different cultures clashing, because I think that is a Western trope that you could play with, is culture clash. Because it's the beginning of people starting to really come together in one place, but all the cultures are very distinct. There's not as much of the melting pot yet.
Right. Shanghai Nights.
I love that. Oh, that was a good show.
Shanghai Noon was better. But
Agreed.
yes, Shanghai Nights, it's all right. Shanghai Noon, that's really good. Yeah, you know that. It wouldn't make any
Nights
sense,
is like
but
the TV sequel. They just threw out most of the storyline from the first one.
yeah. But those are great. Mixing in steampunk, that's an option that you can definitely do, because that was when the steam engine was at its peak, was during that period.
Right.
Wild Wild West.
Indeed. So Wild Wild West is, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, Wild Wild West is basically just steampunk James Bond. That's
I can see
what it is.
that. I can see that.
Never looked at it that way.
Mustang horses instead of Mustang vehicles.
Right. Yep. And then if you go like with the Will Smith Wild Wild West, it's definitely steampunk with that big old spider. So
Yes.
Wow. Oh, there's so much you can do with the West because it has that mystery element to it. I mean, I like the way the Deadlands run it for Savage Worlds, and they have like the mystery of like the ghost rock and the splitting and the, they add in more of the mysterious element to it all, because a lot of the people for the West, you have that trope of versus the Native Americans, and people were afraid of them because of their spirituality, or their what powers did they have, and you could really play along with that too in the tabletop RPG setting.
We might have to get into that in one of our upcoming chats. So,
that's right.
Yeah.
When you say the landscape, though, I was just thinking about the landscape even is so diverse. You talk about going from the ocean to mountains, desert. It's all could be any location.
That's definitely true, because you could start in where the West would begin, which would be technically Fort Smith, Arkansas, not far from where I am. That was called the Gateway to the West, because that was Indian territory that way. You went into Oklahoma, that was Indian. Wasn't Oklahoma then. It's Indian territory that way. And so if you come in before that expansion happened, then it's green around here. It's not like regular what you would think of desert Wild West. It's very much a lots of trees, lots of hills, and all that type of stuff. But as you went on, perhaps your players gain levels as they're getting closer. You do your own Oregon Trail, basically. Ooh, that would be tough. Yeah. Everybody gets dysentery.
What's the music? I can't remember the music stinger they do.
Oh, I might have to, Adam. Maybe you have to get the Oregon Trail soundtrack put in.
Yes.
I'll see about it. I don't like doing post work. I don't like post work, but that is something you can do. Those trail type of games are really good, and it works for it's basically like what we would do for a point of light or a point of light or point crawl game in tabletop. And you can definitely do that with these type of games.
For sure. I was trying to think about the tropes we're hitting so far that are in games. It's clashing cultures, on the edge. Everything's on the edge. So it's on the edge of technology, on the edge of the wilderness. The nature versus technology aspect is going to be there.
But then you have showdowns, like actual in-street gun duels.
That's what I was thinking. Edge of the law too. It's all you're right on the edge of everything.
I mean, you get shot over a card game.
Yeah. Like the exploration piece is really kind of key because you're on the edge. You're like exploring new technology, exploring new cultures that you haven't been exposed to before, exploring new landscapes you haven't seen before, and the creatures, aka monsters, whatever, that may be native to those new lands. And I think that's what draws me to it, is that unknown, that mystery piece.
And that you can definitely feed into it also when you look at the tropes that you see in the movies, like the showdown in the middle of the street. That's definitely a Western Western movie trope. I mean, it didn't really go on quite like that, but it makes for great cinema. And these games are very much cinema in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, I just reading through some stuff and an idea, and I just read through a spot that talked about plots of Westerns, and I never really sat down and broke it up. But they talk about the Union Pacific story, a ranch story, an empire story, revenge, cavalry and Indian, outlaw, martial. Like, there's so many different angles you could take with this. I mean, you could play you could even play a group of bandits that are caught between lawful and unlawful deeds, or however, or what they, maybe they just determine the law in a town. That adds to the kind of the fun. There's so much you can do, and so many little tropes within all of that. I mean, of course, you have to kill a main character. That's always.
If you want to do Red Dead again,
yeah,
right.
So
that's exciting. I don't know historically where this comes from, but it does seem to me anecdotally that the honorable rogue, or kind of the roguish hero, that is a Western trope too.
Lone Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was
Lone
just
Ranger,
gonna
Han
say. I
Solo.
mean, you have your characters find a silver bullet, and there you go.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even it's in the time frame of a Z. Zorro.
Oh, Zorro even.
Zorro's
I love that's a good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then you can play with that Mexican Revolution / the whole Arizona territory is a territory of Mexico. Technically, California's a territory of Mexico, but then they shift over. So.
So many little things that add. It makes me just want to go have like a Western night and just sit and watch Western films.
Well, I think one of the attractive things about it is that you see a lot of these big stories that we're bombarded with today, like superheroes are saving the world, and your heroes are stopping Tiamat and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Westerns
Or the multiverse.
They're saving
Don't
the
limit your
multiverse.
heroes to just
Yeah.
one universe. That'd be crazy.
But you see that today, and actually people really do like and crave a lot of personal stakes and personal conflicts. And Westerns, you see that personal connection a whole lot more in a Western than you do in a lot of other areas of media, because everything was about that point of light town. You lived and breathed around your community, and you were part of that community. And if you weren't part of that community, well, how was that going to interact socially? You could have a lot of intrigue, you can have a lot of fun, and like with that roguish type of person, that gentleman rogue type of thing, you see that a lot in the gambler type of archetype that very much stems from Wild Bill Hickok and those type of individuals that did their Wild West show, and the Maverick series that really played into that idea of the noble rogue who would shyster other gamblers. He would be able to read anybody and get their money if he needed it, but he wasn't out there shystering widows or anything like that. He was had standards type of thing.
When talking about it gets personal, I mean that gets real personal if someone steals your horse. That's your animal companion right there.
Oh yeah, the rogue is not the rogue. The ranger is very mad. You stole his horse.
Oh, that's so funny. I mean, because it comes down to like you guys, a Western story. They're all just trying to survive. So you have such little, and when you've gained even a small little ranch and you're working on it, it's easy to make that personal, and that kind of adds to a fun, realistic element. And it's just, I don't know, I'm excited. Like let's survival-ish kind of feeling too. I mean, earlier she was reading to me The Lone Ranger a little bit, just to kind of get us set in the mood, and just like she was saying, the landscape, and then you're looking for watering holes or wherever, if you're a cowpoke, you're trying to usher your cows to the next, grass.
Without a stampede.
Yeah. So like, there's just so many little things. Oh.
Yeah, it's a good point. The environment is one of the either a character or an NPC in the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
Storms.
Yeah. Again, we go back to Oregon Trail and your ability to or inability to take care of that.
Yeah. I think any game that has a really good game mechanic or set of game mechanics to use for that survival aspect might be a good choice, just to emphasize that and give it teeth within the game.
Okay, that's actually a good point. So some recommendations for different systems. There's of course Savage Worlds, which that's where it really cut its teeth, was in that Western setting with Wild West and Weird West, I think, and stuff like that. You could reflavor things from D&D 5e or things along that line if you wanted to. Pathfinder 2e and Pathfinder might be easier to reflavor because gun things already exist. So that may be something to consider. You may want to tweak the guns a little bit to make them more substantial.
Yes.
Silver bullet. You got to have the silver bullet.
Yes.
So all I'm hearing is that Mush feels like she really needs to play the femme version of the Lone Ranger. So in a game. So
I thought we were hunting werewolves.
hey, that's fourth chat. Keep it down and control yourselves.
Calm yourself.
All right.
There's actually quite a few Western spin-offs for 5e too. Frontier, I believe, is one of them. Frontier 5e. I can think of a couple. Actually, I have one in my books. I just gotta find it. And it was pretty well done. Obviously, it's a rebuild, but it's just using the chassis of 5e, and I enjoyed it.
So I played a one-shot. It was Index Card RPG, and the guy running it was a Western. Now, so confession time, I'm actually really new to the TTRPG scene here, so I don't know if Index Card RPG has a Western module or the guy running it just made it all up. But it seemed to work pretty good. I mean, my gun only jammed once, so that wasn't too bad.
So
Index Card RPG is really, really versatile.
Okay.
I don't know if there's an official one, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was super easy to incorporate.
Yeah, it was neat. He did a good job.
Yeah. So we've said several now. There's of course Open Legend, which you can use. Yep. You can do anything in Open Legend, basically. So,
and I would say it is more heroic play. So there is that advantage with something like Savage World that has the deadlier play might fit a little better. But the campaign setting of Amaria's Dawn is a Western in a sense, because it's the clashing of cultures, the civilized nation, the technology nation coming into the wild nature.
Oh, sounds like it belongs in our third or fourth chat.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
I'm always jumping ahead.
Yeah.
But yeah, but that could work. That's a setting there that you could use too.
Adam just keeps lassoing us and pulling us back in.
That's right. I just keep corralling these cats around.
Well done.
Tell you what.
You just got this image of somebody, just this old ranch hand sitting on his horse, is like just corralling these cats. Cats all run into the corral.
And here I am, the only New Yorker, really. I don't count Jacob and Michelle.
Thanks.
I moved too fast.
All right. Well, we are getting fairly close to time, I think, if I looked at the time correctly. So, it is time for final thoughts. Let's go clockwise, which means we'll start at least from my screen, we'll start at Josh, go to Dan, then me, then Scrat, and then we will have Jacob and Mush.
Oh, boy.
So, what you got, Josh?
All right, so final thoughts. I here's confession time. Bringing that back. I have never really gotten into Westerns. Don't throw things at me, Jacob. But in this conversation, it's really interesting to hear how many of the tropes that I that are a part of the Western genre that I like and respect and think I would enjoy are the same tropes that I like and enjoy in other genres, and kind of bringing them together in a way that is really interesting. I haven't played a Western RPG, but I think I'm going to go out and try to get my hands in, or my dice in, or something. I want to get into one, even if it's just like a one shot or something to give it a shot.
Dibs.
I hear that there's this full-time GM that's going to be in this group. Might be able to put that on the RPG thing.
Oh,
I have a start playing account. I need to go.
I need to get you going. I mean, and real quick, I know thoughts and stuff, but I did run it in Cogent. I did run a Civil War
yes.
RPG
cool.
in Cogent, just to kind of go back a little bit. I know it just popped in my head. I completely forgot about that. That was awesome. So go ahead and continue. So sorry.
Is that Jazz's RPG?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Or tabletop time? Or,
Shad and Jazz, yeah.
Shad and Jazza. Shad would be sad if you left.
Gotcha.
Some goofy dudes.
Don't watch a lot of Shad. Do watch a lot of Jazza.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, that's funny.
All right.
Sorry, I just curved ball the whole thing.
No, but that is a good one. That's a good one.
Okay. So what you got, Dan?
I think the final thought for me is having fun with that edge of whatever it is, because I think you can pick one of the things, really have all of them, but maybe there's that focus of, are you on the edge of the law? Is that the thing you're really hitting on? Or the edge of the frontier and making the environment both the enemy and the ally and just navigating that? Or are you on the edge of what you know, whatever it is, what you've always known, you're on the edge of that, encountering a new culture, or having to, live on a ranch by yourself for the first time. You've been, a New York City, candy shop persons from a movie that goes out west to start a ranch. That idea of what we had said before, mystery, being on the edge, the cusp of whatever it is you want to focus in your game, I think is really going to help give that flavor of Western to it, and can be a lot of fun to play with.
All right. Well, my final thought will actually be some media recommendations. Fievel Goes West.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad I'm not alone in that one. Not only is it great for kids, and it of course it's a kids show, so it doesn't make logical sense, but there is this little speech at the end where Wiley Earp is basically kind of passing the torch to Fievel. And he talks about, if you keep your eyes straight on right into the sunset, you'll find where you might find you're right where you need to be, or something like that. And it's just really good for the spirit, for a type of statement to contain some of the spirit of the West. And if you dropped that in a game, or if you just played that particular clip with no visual, because then it'll give it away, but you did the audio for your group and said, this is the theme of the campaign, that would really hit pretty solidly. So there's that one. There's My Name is Trinity. It's really good spaghetti western, but it's a comedy spaghetti western. So it is very fun and very kind of Italian in its sensibilities, but what do you expect from a spaghetti western? And of course, bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go. So The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And some other Clint Eastwood ones where he plays Blondie, I guess is the character's name. So there you go. That's my final thoughts. Consume some Western stuff, and you'll find that you kind of want to run and play in something like that. All right, that means Scrat is next.
That's me. I If this is a little too far off topic, you can reel me back in, but I did want to kind of echo off what you said a while back about the whole Western thing being a little more personable. So some of you know this because you mentioned it in the video where you shouted out for me. I'm writer first and GM second. So one thing, so that stuck out to me because one thing that's a big problem with a lot of storytelling, at least in the movie scene right now, it's always save the world, save the universe, and as somebody mentioned earlier in this call, save the multiverse. Despite it being the entire multiverse, it's like, yeah, I don't have much stake in that. Granted, I live there, but, you know. Yeah. So when you bring it all the way back down to just a guy and his horse, and you see how tight those two are, and then something happens to the horse. Have either of you played Shadow of the Colossus?
Oh, yes.
Do you remember when the horse fell off the edge?
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. No.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, you're good.
It's like
It's been out a while.
15-year-old
It's already had a remake.
Yeah. So, you know, that was a big moment, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not Western, but it's the guy and his horse, right?
For sure.
I don't know. That stuck out to me from a writing perspective. And like I said, if that's not exactly on topic, my bad. But
Oh, no, that's right on topic.
That's great.
that's my thought. That and I need to watch Philo Goes West again. That's been a long time.
It's been, yep.
Yeah.
Came out in
man.
1991. So.
Yep. It's really good. All right.
Our next family movie night.
So,
Yes.
so what you got, Jacob? You and Mush are the last ones.
I definitely like the hitting on the community aspect. I love the characters that have a relationship with the bankers or the sheriff, or the sheriff's son's a nuisance in town. Just like little things like that. I love that like tight-knit community, all trying to survive, but they're also trying to get ahead of each other. So there's like that little bit of competition. Heck, you can do romance. I mean, you can get, you know, my daughter won't date your son never, you know, whatever, Romeo and Juliet kind of Western feel in all of that. And I love that whole tight community, protecting your community. Like you said, I don't want to be a hero of the universe, but I want to be a hero of my ranch or my farming community kind of thing. And it just, to me, that speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. And I know for you, it's the horse.
Oh, it's the horse.
Scrat took your thing, huh? I love it.
Yeah. Well, I guess, my final statement then would just have to be, "Io Silver, away!"
All right. Well, that seems like a good place for us to wrap up then. So, we thank you for stopping by at the end of Planar Crossroads. We hope that you enjoyed. We hope you enjoyed our new guest, Scrat, or A Squirrel Plays. So, we enjoyed him being here, and we commend him for jumping feet first into the TTRPG discussion, being relatively new to TTRPGs. So,
I got like 2 years under me.
There you go. All right. As always, have a great day. God bless and enjoy. Bye.
Bye.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
All right. So that's first chat down. We should be fairly close to time on that one. So,
Sweet.
there we go.
Oh, I'll come back. You're like,
All
you
right.
got really hot on that horse dying topic. I felt that. She was.
Makes me want to go check on ours.
Guys, we'll get one more and then we can take a break.
One more in? All right.
I was teasing them.
All right.
We gotta go check our horses.
You know this is going in bloopers, right?
Yeah. It's all good.
There's much covering it up. All right.
Oh man, I do love westerns, and so seriously, Josh, if you ever wanted to have a little fun, I would definitely run a western one shot for you. I got maps, I got ideas.
Cool deal, man. I'm down. Just got to find the time.
That's the
tough part.
We can wing something up, I'm sure of it.
Fair enough.
And I completely forgot about the Kojin game. I actually ran it with, I'll be quick, Adam, but I ran it with a friend of ours who had no idea what a TTRPG even was. And I showed up with some D6s, and I was like, listen, we're gonna do some storytelling, and we did, and it was fantastic. It was good. So